Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. My name is Brad Turner. I'm 40, steady, and not easily rattled. 2 years ago, I got into a relationship with Nicole. She was sharp, charming, and had that restless spark that made her seem like she always had somewhere bigger to be. People said we were an odd pair, but I thought the balance worked. I liked stability. She liked momentum. When my father passed away last spring, things changed. The house, the land, and a sizable inheritance were now under my name, though the legal paperwork was still moving through Silas McKay, my family's attorney. Nicole started asking more questions about timelines and numbers, not in a direct way, more in passing like, "Do you know when Silas will finish everything?" Once that's settled, we should look into bigger investments, right? I brushed it off. Grief was still heavy, and money wasn't what I wanted to talk about. Around the same time, Nicole's habits shifted. She began keeping her phone face down on the table. She claimed late-night marketing calls with her team, but when I walked past the bedroom, I'd hear the quick, hushed tone of someone not talking about work. Once, while folding laundry, I found a bar receipt in her jacket pocket from a place 2 towns over. She said it was a client thing. I didn't argue. I've never believed in chasing shadows. Still, I kept track of details. Times, dates, receipts. Patterns reveal themselves if you wait long enough. One night, over dinner, I told her plainly, "Nicole, if you ever feel like this relationship isn't what you want, just say it. Words cost less than secrets." She smiled like it was a joke. "Don't be dramatic, Brad. You overthink everything." I let it slide. But the truth is, I wasn't overthinking. I was observing. And soon enough, it would turn into proof. It happened on a Tuesday evening. Nicole had left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went upstairs to shower. Normally, she guarded that thing like a vault, but this time she was careless. The screen lit up with a preview of a message, and curiosity got the better of me. I unlocked it. What I saw wasn't just suspicion confirmed. It was betrayal written plain as day. There were threads of messages between Nicole and a man named Xavier Holt. I knew the name vaguely. He was an old boyfriend of hers from years back. The texts weren't old, though. They were fresh. One of them stopped me cold. "I'm just waiting for his inheritance. Then I'm yours." She had sent it. My girlfriend. Talking about me as if I were an obstacle, not a partner. Another message followed. "He has no idea. Once the estate clears, I'll have what we need to start over." Xavier's replies were weak echoes of her promises. He liked the sound of it, but it was clear she was the one driving the plan. I didn't feel anger, not right away. It was more like a switch flipping. My pulse slowed, my thoughts sharpened. This wasn't about love anymore. It was about strategy. I scrolled, taking screenshots of everything. Weeks of conversations. Her late-night whispers weren't about clients. They were about me, about money, about a future she was already building with someone else. I emailed the screenshots to myself, then deleted the sent items and cleared the trash folder. Nicole never knew. When I heard the shower turn off upstairs, I put her phone back exactly where she had left it. When she came back down, she glanced at me. "You look serious," she said. I stirred my coffee slowly. "Just work on my mind." She smirked and walked past me, humming. I watched her, realizing for the first time that I was living with someone who saw me as a stepping stone. That night, I lay in bed next to her, silent. I already knew. The game had changed. After that night, every word Nicole said felt like it had a double meaning. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I tested her. One Saturday morning, while we sat on the porch drinking coffee, I asked casually, "What would you do if you suddenly had a lot more money?" She laughed too quickly. "Travel. Maybe invest in something." "Why?" I shrugged. "Just curious. You bring up the future a lot." Her eyes flickered, then she smiled again, all charm. "Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere." The more she talked, the more obvious her nervousness became. I made a mental note of every slip. That afternoon, I called Miriam Cross, an old friend I trusted. I told her what I had found. She listened quietly, then said, "Brad, don't blow up yet. Gather everything. Once you show your hand, you can't take it back." "I know," I said. "That's why I need patience." Miriam's tone hardened. "Patience and proof. Don't let her twist it." She was right. Nicole was good at spinning a story. If I confronted her with nothing but anger, she'd find a way to turn it around. That evening, Nicole floated the idea of selling part of my father's property to fund new opportunities. She framed it like it was for us, but I could see the greed behind her suggestion. Let's not rush anything, I told her calmly. Silas will settle the estate when the time is right. She frowned, tapping her nails on the table. Sometimes I think you're too cautious. You play it safe until life passes you by. I met her eyes, steady. Or maybe I don't like gambling with things I've worked for. She dropped the subject, but her irritation lingered in the air. By the following week, Nicole's patience was wearing thin. She'd been dropping hints about next steps almost every day, pushing harder than before. One evening over dinner, she leaned across the table. Brad, we should think about selling the cabin. It's just sitting there. We could invest the money, make it grow. I set my fork down. That cabin has been in my family for 3 generations. Selling it isn't on the table. Her smile was tight. You're so stubborn sometimes. Don't you ever want more than this? I didn't take the bait. What I want is to secure what's already mine. She sighed dramatically, then tried a softer angle. Maybe we could meet with a financial advisor, Someone who can show us how to use your inheritance smartly. That was her mistake. She said, your inheritance, like it was already halfway hers. I nodded slowly. Good idea. Let's schedule a meeting. Together. With Silas. Nicole froze for a split second before recovering with a laugh. Oh, come on. He's old school. We need someone modern, forward-thinking. Silas has handled my family's affairs for decades. If we're serious, we do it right. Her eyes narrowed. Why are you suddenly so controlling about this? I kept my voice even. Because rushing decisions with money has ruined better people than us. The conversation ended there, but her mask slipped. She snapped at me later over something trivial, dirty dishes of all things, and her tone carried more bite than usual. It wasn't about dishes. It was about me not moving fast enough for her plan. That night, while she texted in the living room, I sat in the bedroom and reviewed the evidence again. Screenshots, bank receipts, call logs. It was all airtight. She thought I was cautious to a fault. She didn't realize caution, when sharpened, becomes strategy. The next time I moved, it wouldn't be a test. It would be a reveal. It was a Thursday night when I decided the time had come. Nicole was sitting at the dining table with her laptop open, pretending to work. I walked in carrying a plain folder. Can we talk for a minute? I asked. She glanced up, wary. Sure. What's this about? I placed the folder on the table and slid it toward her. Inside were printed screenshots of her conversations with Xavier Holt. The top one was bold and unmistakable. I'm just waiting for his inheritance, then I'm yours. Nicole's face drained of color. She tried to speak, but only managed a dry laugh. You went through my phone? I kept my voice steady. I read what you wrote. Those are your words, no one else's. She flipped through the pages, her hands trembling. It's not what it looks like. It looks like betrayal, I said. Her tone sharpened. You're overreacting. Xavier is nothing. I was just venting, saying stupid things I didn't mean. Nicole, I replied evenly. People don't plan futures in text messages by accident. She shoved the papers back at me. So what now? You're going to throw away our relationship over a few texts? I leaned forward. No, you threw it away. I'm just acknowledging the truth. Her eyes filled with panic. Brad, listen, I love you. I was confused. I didn't mean any of it. We can fix this. I stood, calm as ever. Silas is already securing the inheritance separately. You won't touch it. As for us, we'll separate cleanly. Her expression hardened. So, that's it? You're punishing me? No, I said. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. She sat there speechless, staring at the evidence she could never explain away. I left the folder on the table and walked out of the room. That night, I slept soundly for the first time in months. The pretense was over. The next morning, Nicole showed up in the kitchen already dressed, makeup sharp, eyes red from little sleep. She slammed her coffee cup down and snapped, So you're just going to destroy everything we built? Over nothing? I didn't look up from the newspaper. Over the truth. Not nothing. Her voice cracked, moving from anger to desperation. "Brad, I was stupid, all right? I got caught up. Xavier doesn't matter. He never did. I love you." I folded the paper slowly. "You love what you thought you could take. That's not the same." Her hands balled into fists. "You're punishing me. After all I've done for us?" "You did things for yourself," I said. "Now you can pack what's yours. Today." She glared at me, then stormed off upstairs. For the next hour, I heard drawers slamming, hangers clattering. When she finally came down, suitcase in hand, she stopped in the doorway. "This isn't over," she hissed. "Yes, it is," I replied evenly. She left, slamming the door behind her. The house went quiet, but not empty, just still. That afternoon, I sent copies of the text transcripts to my attorney, Silas McKay. He called me back within the hour. "You did the right thing by documenting everything," Silas said. "This protects your estate. She won't get near it." "Good," I said. "That's all I wanted." Later, I got a call from Clara Vance, a colleague of Nicole's I'd met at a company dinner once. Her tone was cautious. "Brad, I probably shouldn't get involved, but Nicole has been distracted at work. People are starting to notice. She's made mistakes with a client account. It's not looking good." "Thank you for telling me," I said. It was clear. Her personal schemes were spilling into her professional life. The walls were closing in on her, not because of me, but because of her own choices. That night, I sat on the porch. Nicole was gone. The betrayal was undeniable. But so was the relief. The house felt lighter in her absence. For the first time in months, I could hear the rhythm of my own life without her interruptions. I started putting the pieces back together in practical ways. On weekends, I drove out to the family cabin and began restoring it. Fresh paint on the siding, new boards on the deck, manual work gave me clarity. I started saying yes to dinners with friends I'd drifted from, to Saturday basketball games with old coworkers, to simple routines that had nothing to do with Nicole. At the same time, the fallout on her end grew louder. Clara Vance called again, quietly updating me. Nicole's project was reassigned. Management's looking into her conduct. She doesn't say much, but everyone knows something's wrong. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Nicole had built her downfall step by step, thinking she was clever. Xavier Holt, the man she thought was her escape, vanished as soon as the money angle disappeared. She was left holding the wreckage. One night, my phone buzzed with a voicemail from an unknown number. Xavier's voice, low and awkward. "Brad, look, I didn't know it was like that. I don't want trouble. I'm staying out of it." I deleted it without replying. Instead, I focused on the garden I'd planted out back. The house, the land, the inheritance, it was all intact. But more than that, my peace was returning, piece by piece. One evening, as I was closing up the workshop, my phone buzzed. A number I knew but hadn't seen in months. Nicole. The message was short. "We should talk. I'm ready to be honest." I read it once. The words carried no weight anymore. Whatever truth she wanted to share was months too late. I deleted the message and blocked the number. No anger, no satisfaction, just finality. Silas stopped in one afternoon to shake my hand and say, "Your father would have been proud of how you handled things." Nicole, meanwhile, faded into whispers. Clara mentioned she'd left the company abruptly. No one knew where she'd gone. Or maybe they just didn't care. As for Xavier Holt, he disappeared completely, a shadow that vanished once the promise of easy money evaporated. I leaned back in the porch chair and thought about that first night I'd read her texts. "I'm just waiting for his inheritance. Then I'm yours." She believed my value was in what I could leave behind. She was wrong. My inheritance wasn't the money. It wasn't the house or the land. It was the resilience to rebuild, the clarity to protect myself, and the freedom to start over without her. The best revenge wasn't confrontation or spectacle. It was this: sitting on my own porch, knowing that the life Nicole tried to exploit had only gotten stronger without her. I finished my coffee and set the mug down. She had been waiting for an inheritance. What she never understood was that mine wasn't money. It was freedom. Thank you for watching.